statewide news magazine bringing together the people and ideas that drive California. Here again, Lisa McCree.
Welcome to California Connected. It was a California centennial that wasn't celebrated with the parade, a commemorative coin, or even a new postage stamp. 100 years ago, a 1905 flood formed the New River and the Alamo River, both of which flow into this body of water behind me, the Salton Sea. Today, the New River has been called North America's most polluted, with 70% of it made up of waste materials and raw sewage. It's also a breeding ground for deadly diseases like polio, tuberculosis, and typhoid, most of it coming up from Mexico and dumping right here into the Salton Sea. It's filthy, it's toxic, but it's water. And as we know in California, that means people are fighting over it. Here's John Ridley.
If some network ever did a reality show about America's dirtiest river, this one would be the star.
The New River is extremely dirty. It's been cataloged as the most polluted river in North America.
In North America, so this, from here to Canada.
From Mexico to Canada, it's the most polluted river. We know exactly what's in the water, and you have disease-causing virus, typhoid, polio, hepatitis, whatever you can think of, it's
in there in some fashion.
Exactly.
It's the New River, but it's the same old story. It's pollution. And for those of you sitting at home in your air-conditioned living rooms, you don't know the half of it. Right now, it's about 109 degrees here in Calexico. The sun is high in the sky, and below me, this river is basically cooked sewage. It is one of the worst stenches I've ever been around.
About 70% of the flow is made up of ag waste, it's tailwater from ag activity in Mexico. We're talking about it right here in the border. Another 20% is municipal waste, wastewater, partially treated and untreated sewage, and about 10% is industrial waste, increasingly.
So you've got everything from animal feces coming from farmland, you've got industrial waste, you've got human fecal matter. This is all going through this river, and it's flowing in and around, communities, homes, families, kids.
That's right.
And when the regional water quality team comes to test the river water, they suit up same as if they were heading into a hot zone. Jose Angel is an executive officer of the Water Board. Two sets of gloves on, face mask,
face shield, or glasses.
That might not be protection enough. The levels of bacteria they find here are staggering.
For this river, the standard is 260.
260
That's
per
100 milliliters per liter.
And what does the New River usually come out at?
It varies from the high 100,000s up to 16 million.
Between 100,000 and 16 million?
That's correct.
16?
Yeah, and that's because that's how much we can measure. Probably it's a little bit higher than that sometimes.
And regular water that you would be bad to have contact with is 260? 260. Wow.
Anything beyond that, it poses a threat to public health.
Wow. Sure. So if I fall in...
They'll just replace you, I'm pretty sure.
You'd think that between the stench and the bacteria levels, no one would go near the river. But you'd be wrong. Mexico is just on the other side of the border, and every night, up to 70 desperate migrants use the New River to try to sneak into the United States illegally. Even in broad daylight, we saw several people risking the river journey.
I mean, they know that the river smells, and they probably think it's a normal smell, but they don't know that how much contamination there is in this river. Most of these people that cross that are coming in that we've stopped are people from the interior of Mexico and way down south where they probably never read, they've never seen or heard of anything like this.
What many migrants soon discover is that as long as they stay in the river, the Border Patrol and the local police won't go anywhere near them.
I mean, there's only so much you can do, and just follow the guy. I mean, I'm not going to go in the water. I mean, that's other to save somebody's life or something like that, but not to catch somebody for something. The guy's only wearing shorts. He has a black plastic bag. In his plastic bag, he has, dry clothes. If he is able to get away from Border Patrol, he'll just go over there, dump his shorts, put on the clean clothes, and he's gone. I mean, he didn't take a shower. He didn't decontaminate himself. And if he's off to L.A., like I said, Chicago, New York, wherever his destination is. And maybe in 3-4 days, he'll take a sickness to some family member, and before you know it, I mean, that thing can spread.
If you want to get an idea about how many people are coming through this river every day, you can just do sort of an archaeological trek along the riverbank. You've got clothes here that are dumped on the side of the road. What happens is people come out of the river, they strip off their dirty, soiled clothes, the plastic bags. That's where they keep dry clothes. rip the bags open, they suit up, and then they're off to work. The only problem is a lot of these workers are taking a lot of toxins and a lot of bacteria with them.
So what made California the home to such a dirty and dangerous river? You got to jump back about 100 years. During an irrigation construction project in the Imperial Valley, a levee was accidentally breached, and the irrigation canal suddenly had an evil twin sister, the New River. It became the unwanted waterway of two nations, no one's responsibility, and everybody's dumping ground. So, far from the power centers of California, out of sight to most of the state, it's been allowed to fester for decades. And the local residents, mostly poor and recent immigrants, have accepted the fact that they live near a river they couldn't fish in, couldn't swim in, or even touch.
We know we shouldn't get near to it. We know about the smell. And it's just become a permanent part of our lives. And a lot of people have this attitude that it's never going to change for us. We don't have the economic or political clout to demand a better quality of life, a better environmental quality. If this river were running through San Diego, San Francisco, there would have been mitigation long ago, perhaps even penalties and reparations to those affected.
We talked to a few residents whose houses line the river.
We're suffering from the eyes, ears, headaches, and throat. Every day, the smell is unbearable at all hours. The smell of that river.
We can't open windows. We can't be outside. Unfortunately, we are close and these are our homes. We have to put up with the bad smell, mosquitoes, and illnesses.
And children learn early on to play indoors during the day and keep clear of Old Man River.
If a toy falls in the river, you have to buy another one.
Yeah, it's already contaminated.
In 2001, the residents of Calexico finally decided to take matters into their own hands and began meeting to plan what they could do about the killer river in their midst. They got foundation grants that were just enough to hire an action committee of one, Pablo Orozco. Pablo's got his work cut out for him. Among the many challenges is the New River is an international dilemma.
That's a border fence right there. And here we have the New River and the effluent from the international drain, which comes out of the original wastewater treatment plant. And the foam we see are phosphates from non-biodegradable detergents still used in Mexico.
Just 5 miles south of the border in Mexico, we found these trucks lined up to dump septic water right into the New River.
We've been coming out here the past week, and we've seen those pumps operating pretty often. And right now we have one truck and another one lined up, ready to go as well.
Pablo's not just looking out for Calexico. The New River could be poisoning other areas far from the U.S.-Mexican border. Toxic as it is, the New River is still a river. And this is California, a state born out of bloody battles over water. Crazy as it sounds, dirty as the river is, somebody's making a power grab for it. The LA-based Metropolitan Water District wants a piece of the New River, betting that it can someday be cleaned up enough to use. But they won't get it without a fight, according to Imperial County Supervisor Joe Maruca.
I live in Los Angeles. I didn't know anything about this. What is the water district doing on my behalf? Why are they trying to get this dirty water for me? I don't particularly want it.
No, you don't particularly want it, but the developers want it for growth. Riverside is growing, San Bernardino is growing, and LA County is growing. So any source of water. And water is more important than gold right now.
The fear is that diverting the New River water could cause even more problems for the state. It's a river that feeds into the Salton Sea, the state's largest lake. And if the Salton Sea lost its water source, it could turn into another Owens Lake, a dried-out lake bed spewing dust storms like these, but more toxic than anything the state has ever seen.
It'll be everywhere, and it'll affect our air quality, it'll affect Palm Springs, it'll affect Indio, the whole area up there, and it may render it impossible to do business in these areas.
So the New River Committee is fighting a war on multiple fronts. After all, this is a crisis 100 years in the making.
Is anybody planning any kind of something, even if just to draw attention to the problem? Is anybody going to do a 100-year celebration of the New River?
No plans are in place for a celebration per se. However, yes, we are going to follow any legitimate avenue to raise the issue, raise the awareness to this issue. So that might not be such a bad idea.
Just to have some kind of a celebration,
exactly.
Have some people come out here. Listen, I'll tell you something. If you invited some politicians down here and said, hey, we're celebrating how dirty this is, you might want to shame them into some kind of action. That might work.
For California Connected, this is John Ridley.
To find out how you can help clean up the New River, go to CalexicoNewRiver.com. Coming up, is it politics California style? What happens when a community gets too involved?
It becomes more closer to a patent-place dictatorship.
And the primary lowdown will make you a smarter voter. We hopped back on the Big Blue RV and waved goodbye to the Salton Sea after cruising north.